okay, that's a DJ group. Okay, so what does a DJ do? Oh, they play music. It actually didn't interest me in the beginning, but when I heard mixes on the radio, and it was like, oh, you're blending it so it goes from this song to this song. What interested me more than doing the parties and being in the group with the jackets and everything was scratching. You know, I was like, oh, you can really like play it like an instrument. Like, ooh, you know, that's, to me, that was like the most mind-blowing thing ever, because you can take any song, creating new things on top of new things. And that's what really, that's what got me. And that, at that point, I was just like, forget everything else. This is what I'm doing. I was, you know, all my hobbies went away. Everything, dude, I didn't care about school as much. You know, that was it.
If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment about the episode. And if you're watching on Spotify or listening on a traditional podcast platform, please follow, rate us 5 stars, and leave a review if you would be so kind. Thank you. Before we start today's episode, I have 2 housekeeping items for you. Number 1, if you happen to hear radio station chatter when my mic isn't muted, you're not going crazy. My microphone decided it wanted to pick up a local radio station. I've since fixed the issue, but apologies for that, and thank you for being patient. 2, today's episode is almost 2 hours, and it's well worth your time. Mike and I chat about a variety of topics, including film, music videos, hip-hop trivia, and even Street Fighter. I guarantee you'll get a kick out of today's chat. And with that, let's talk to Mike Relm. Enjoy. Welcome to the Way I Know You podcast, Season 2, Episode 18. My name is Nick Rounds, and I will be your host. My next guest is more than a reservoir dog, a sharp-dressed man, or even a DJ. He's a remixer, a turntablist, and a director. He's toured with some amazing artists, including Gift of Gab, the Blue Man Group, Del the Funky Homosapien, Mike Patton, and the Pharcyde, just to name drop a few. He's remixed hundreds of movies and songs and has collaborated directly with the legendary filmmakers Jon Favreau and Edgar Wright. And these days, he's spinning up his new project, The S.T.A.C.K Machine. More on that later. Mike Relm. Wait, I know you. How are you today?
Pretty good. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you for being with me today.
Good to be here. It's for the audience. So, you know, we've been talking for like half an hour already, just like wasting time. But it's all good.
There was an outfit change. I showed up dressed, and I felt like a jerk because I didn't tell you that I was going to dress up like you.
I felt like a jerk because I immediately, as soon as I saw the black and white, I was like, oh no, why did I just showed up in a hat and like just a regular shirt and like a jerk.
No, it's all good. I guess let's start there. Let's talk about the Mike Relm uniform. We're going to talk about all about your DJ stuff, but let's kick into how did the Mike Relm persona come to be?
Honestly, it was I grew up around a lot of DJs, and we were all starting to dress the same. We were all wearing hoodies and hats and whatever, and I just wanted to you know, stick out amongst the crowd that I was in, but also, you know, when it came to touring, I just kind of wanted to make it easier to, you know, get ready for the show, because you wear a suit, you know, you could literally wear the same suit every night and it's all good, but if you have, you know, like a shirt or a hoodie that you wear all the time, like it better be significant. If you're going to wear it every night, it just looks weird. You know what I mean? Right. So that's basically it. And I figured, you know, like a suit can kind of be anywhere. And you know, it's sort of, you know, especially early on, like I really wanted to sort of kind of come in as like the underdog, because as you see me on stage, it's like, what's that guy doing? What is this? It's a hip hop show. I like that. I like bringing the expectations down, basically.
You're bringing them up, sir. You're a sharp dressed man, dressed like a reservoir dog. I love it. Okay, I jumped in a little bit talking about your DJ stuff, but I actually want to talk about. So, in doing my research about you and finding out that your first love is film, I actually want to get started with some film questions because people hardly ever ask you about that.
Yeah, never.
Let's go back to the DJ stuff. Please, God, just ask me another question.
What's your favorite scratch?
Cheerit. Okay. So what are some of your early formative films that made you fall in love with cinema?
Ooh, early. I mean,
and if they're Disney movies, I'm not going to judge. It's really like
no. I mean, number one for sure is Back to the Future. That's like for me. That was like, wait. As soon as I saw that, I was like, wait, what is this? When I saw it in the theater, I was like, perfect. You know, when did that come out? 80. I mean, we could
85.
Check 85. Yeah, ish. Saw it in theater. That was like it changed my life. It completely changed because number one, you know, it's a perfect movie. And it just, I feel like that was one of those, it was an amazing experience. It just, but at the end, when it's like, wait a second, there's more. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those, like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I think that was a pretty pivotal moment for me, just in my life, like just as a creative person, like, ooh, the music, the effects, the just everything that was going on, everything that it was time travel. When you're a kid, it's like, what? Wait, if you travel and then it's different and you'll disappear from this, you know, yeah, that was probably the first one. And then of course, you know, you get your Star Wars and later on it was like the Matrix and all that stuff. And then, you know, you start getting into, you know, like, I went to San Francisco State and took film classes there. So we'd sit and watch, you know, Godard and stuff like French New Wave. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is a whole other thing now. Like, I didn't know what this, and like documentaries and stuff like that. But I think the ones that stick out to me for sure, like my top 5, probably Back to the Future. For some reason, I really love Major League. You seen that movie?
Oh God, I love Major League. It does not age well with what's his face, especially in the second one with Jobu and the guy from the Allstate commercials. Who's that guy? I'm
and 24.
Yeah, but so me and my best friend say this to each other all the time. Is like when we see somebody that looks like really fucking wacky, we just look at each other and just go, "Look at this fucking guy."
Who are these fucking guys?
Yeah, Jobu, and then the second Major League with the Asian dude, like that hasn't aged well.
Yeah. None of that shit.
Yeah, but the first one is fantastic.
There's something about, and that because for me, like I grew up as a big baseball fan, and it was like, oh, there's a whole other thing going on outside of the game. You know, even within the game, like what do they talk about on the mound? Like, oh, he's pissed that, you know, slept with his wife or whatever. Like, you know, I don't know. I just, something about that.
Pedro Serrano, that was his name.
Yes, that's it. And then Corbin Burnson, who
is Roger Dorn, and Charlie Sheen is Ricky Wild Thing. Dude. Yeah, good.
I was Rick Vaughn so many times for Halloween. It's not even funny.
That's awesome. Did you own the glasses and everything?
Yeah, that was
That's
I went
incredible.
all out. You know, then I mentioned The Matrix is like another like pretty pivotal, you know, kind of influence. And then, you know, obviously Reservoir Dogs, you know, and that was one. I mean, you know, to go back to why I wear this on stage. I mean, they just, I'm like, if those guys can rob a bank in a suit, like I can definitely do. Everyone looks cool. Everyone looks cool in a suit.
Yeah.
You look cool. Look at you.
Oh, thank you, sir. The feeling is mutual. So building on what you just said about listing off some of your favorite movies, I personally believe that movies that you choose or like as some of your favorites speak volumes about you and your personality. And to that end, of the movies that you listed, which of those best reflect your personality and why? And if you need an example, I can give it to you, but if that's too open-ended or loaded.
What do you mean? Yeah, give me an example since you have one.
Okay. Do you know the movie Harold and Maude?
Yes.
So it's not my favorite movie, but it's definitely one of my favorite movies. And I would say it's probably a movie that best reflects my personality. But I will qualify that by saying, if you told me that one of my favorite movies was going to be about a kid who falls in love with an 80-year-old Holocaust survivor who commits suicide and has sex with her, I would have said, no, thank you. That's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
But having, I mean, you mentioned French New Wave earlier, having something that's inspired by American New Wave, or inspired by French New Wave and stuff like The Graduate, which is American New Wave, of like very like audio forward stuff, to the fact that like the entire movie is nothing but Cat Stevens.
Yep.
It has a huge sarcastic, like macabre sense of humor to itself, completely deadpan. That's my sense of humor, like so on and so forth. And also added bonus is that most of it is filmed in the Bay Area. When they have the car chase, it's all over the old Dumbarton Bridge. And yeah, just that movie is my personality in a movie, as far as like what my sense of humor is. So I guess, is there a movie that reflects your sense of humor or your personality?
Ooh, I mean, I think sense of humor, probably not, but like Train Spotting to me that captures like that's the energy I want, not necessarily the energy that I have, you know, I don't, you know,
right. Minus the drug part.
Yeah, of course. But like, when I'm in a creative mode, or even when I'm like, you know, when I'm by myself and I'm, you know, at an airport or whatever, like that's the voice that's in my head. You know what I mean? Like the choose life, choose, you know, like I just love that. That's my, my default, you know, that's my default when I can see the world. You know what I mean? That doesn't really answer the question though. Sense of humor wise, am I going back? I mean, yeah, this doesn't say it either, but like Dumb and Dumber is one of my favorite movies, but that's not my sense of humor. Yeah, that's my sense of humor that I'd like to watch, but it's not like how I am. And yeah, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I guess the other thing would be like my sense of humor is like Airplane, in terms of just the stuff that wouldn't fly today, or even doesn't age well, and it doesn't really like Zoomers would not be about that at all. Yeah, but I love that movie so much. Yeah,
Zoolander's another one. Tropic Thunder, I think is one of the. I mean, I love it. I'm not sure if you can make it today.
It is spicy for a bunch of different reasons.
Super spicy, but dude, I watched it recently, and man, and have you seen that with the commentary?
No, I haven't.
It is fucking brilliant.
Who's on the commentary?
Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr.
Oh wow,
dude, do yourself a favor and just watch it with the commentary. It is I mean, there's a lot of good commentaries out there. That's got to be up there. That's got to be one of the top 10 ever made, for sure. Maybe top 5, top 3. It's brilliant. You'll see.
Awesome. So in doing my research about you, and I like to listen to the podcasts that you've done previously, and get some inspiration and or avoid questions that you've answered way too many times.
Sure.
But you name dropped something that's very special and near and dear to my heart, which is a director series featuring some famous directors.
Oh my God, I have the same thing.
You're one of the few people that knows about this, and this is probably one of the most prized possessions I have, albeit in a dated format of DVD.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite? I know that Michel Gondry is your favorite director from this collection, but of all the collections, and especially Michel Gondry, like, what are some of your favorite music videos from the collection and why?
Oh, dude. I mean, the one that I keep going back to is Let Forever Be, the Gondry Chemical Brothers one, because even now, like, I look at that, I've seen it thousands of times, and I'm still to this day like, how do you, like, there are some times where I watch it and I'm like, I actually don't feel good about myself after this. I suck. I fucking suck. Look at this. They did this with like a mini DV camera and film, I'm assuming, but like just the way it goes. Oh, there's so many things about it. just how they go from, you know, whatever, high 8 or whatever they were shooting it on to film. And then with the heads, all the transitions are just beautiful. Everything's a chef's kiss in that thing. Everything. 100%. I like, but you know, and then there's the Spike Jonze stuff where it's like, that is raw. Like, man, Sabotage that's another one where it's like, how can I achieve that? Like, it's so specific, but you don't even have to have seen any of those, like, you know, cop shows or whatever's, but you get it. You get that. Oh, they're just like running around and well, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't, I don't know, but there's an energy behind it. I think that's what a lot of those music videos capture, you know, because it starts with the music, obviously, and it never feels like they brought in some like old idea, you know, off the shelf,
right?
To be like, oh yeah, no, I'm sure they did, but like it doesn't feel like it, or they tweaked it enough where it feels like custom. You know what I mean? It
doesn't feel like another band in a warehouse or a band on the stage.
Yeah,
with nothing else
or
going
one of the
on.
train tracks or something. It's like, God, man, like who did the one? I think Ganji did the one where Beck's like following his feet, or he did a lot of those like reverse things and like,
yeah,
man. But then Cunningham has like the dope effects and just
the Aphex Twin Come to Daddy and some amazing Bjork videos.
Dude,
yeah.
The Aphex Twin one where it just the mask, it's like that'll just stay with you. That's a visual that will just stay with you forever.
I can't unsee Rubber Johnny either.
No.
Like that video is like, the first time you see it, you're like, what the fuck? And then like the lasers go off. You're like, all right, this is enough internet for today. Goodbye.
Yeah. Like, dude, I gotta rip my collection, that set, and just like, so I can have it on, because I haven't gone through it in a minute, because it's DVD. It's like, who has a DVD player now?
Right. Yeah, my favorite one definitely is the Mark Romanek collection, just because he's responsible for like most of the Nine Inch Nails video, Perfect Drug.
Oh yeah,
Closer, and then he directed the Robin Williams movie, One Hour Photo.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and then and he also directed Johnny Cash's Hurt, which if you need a video to make me cry, I just need to watch that and I'll be in tears like almost instantly. Like that, it's so heartbreaking to see that that music video. But I mean, that's the power of film, is like this pre-recorded thing that has set the music can trigger an emotional response in you, which is has always been the magic of cinema to me, of like you doing something and it affects somebody else in another different part of the world or makes them feel something, which, I mean, that's all music and also all forms of media generally. It's just like, that's the power of media to me usually. Cool. Well, thank you for
you're bringing me back. I'm like, oh man, yeah. Well, because it's always like that those emotional moments are like when everything clicks. It's like you can have a really dope song but a shit music video, and it's like, okay, just play it.
Yeah.
I don't need to look at it. But then, you know, you get the ones that click, like the Bjork video for Human Behavior. It's like, what dream am I in right now? Like, what is this? You know, it just locks in, and there's just they don't make them like they used to.
These damn kids with their new TikToks and everything else. Yes. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing that I lament the most, is just like the death of the music video, because it doesn't really exist anymore, and the artistry that went into it. And that's the thing that like I always hold dear to my heart, of like, it's just a bite-sized piece of filmmaking, but you can really make it and bend it the way that you want to. So many of my favorite bands got me with just like their music video. And I mean, to talk about a song, not to shit on Jamiroquai, but I guess I'm going to shit on Jamiroquai. Virtual Insanity is not that great of a song, but that video, you can't look away.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's so good. And how many people bought those stupid Kangol bucket hats after that?
Yeah.
It's a vibe.
But then back back to Spike Jones. He could do what's the one that he did with Fatboy Slim, where they were just dancing in front of the theater.
Oh,
was it Praise You?
Christopher Walken?
No, there was one where it was
Praise. Yeah, that was Praise You then,
dude. Like Praise You is like the biggest fucking. That's one of the songs of the decade, and that's the music video. Brilliant, perfect. It's perfect because Fatboy Slim is just like he's not the big we're gonna be in a desert and there's gonna be a million people out. No. You're gonna be in front of a theater dancing all wacky, and that's it. That's the video. No, we're not gonna light it. Just I love that. I love just I gotta get, man. I'm gonna rip those tonight.
Do it. All right. Well, thank you for amusing me there by talking about film, because I went to film school as well, and I'm a dropout, and I became a game designer instead. But yeah, film and loving film is a diehard passion for me. So thank you for talking about that. Because
how do you think film factored into your game design?
Oh. So I hate talking about myself during these things, but I'm going to talk about myself only because you asked. The thing I'm best at is I'm a feature designer. So I concept things and I put everything in my head about the way that I want it, and then I pitch it. Of course, there's documentation. I do mock-ups and everything else, but I've been accused of being a concept designer, which is to say, like, I'll think of something and like pitch it off the top of my head because I'm a very visual person. Sure. When I listen to music, like some of my favorite bands invoke really wild imagery in me. One of my favorite bands of all time is Deftones, and although their music videos are not always fantastic, they're usually kind of meh at best. And most people that when I tell them I like Deftones, they're like, "You must be a piece of shit or a stoner." I'm like, no, that music just really resonates with me, because when I listen to their music, especially some of their earlier stuff. Actually, not even their early stuff, like even their most recent stuff. Like, I just get wild imagery in my head, and sometimes if my mind wanders, there will be my own music video for that song in my head. And so, in a lot of ways, visualizing flows and the way that things happen in sequence order started with listening to music and thinking about music videos, and into making games, internalizing what it feels like to play a game, and then pitching out, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And so in a lot of ways, that's where my superpower strength comes from, of just conceptualizing something and then committing it to an actual tangible thing. In fact, that's the most magical thing for me, is taking something that didn't exist and then making it something that now exists, which obviously that's something you do as well. That's something you're very good at. Both in music and in film and cinema as well. So, but yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that on your own podcast.
Thanks for making me, I guess. I feel embarrassed. No,
have you ever just talked about yourself on the, like just had okay, if anyone wants to know about me, here's ask me anything or whatever. Okay.
I've not done an AMA yet, because I don't have enough huge of an audience to do an AMA yet, or at least I don't think I do. I'm waiting to see if, I don't know, that's whatever. I'm open to an AMA, but I would like to make sure that the guest that I have on is the rock star of the week.
Okay, sure.
And so I still need to get to the point where we talk about you, sir.
So just so your audience knows, like from the stuff that you were dropping when we were talking before, like I think you'd make a pretty good guest on a podcast.
Well, Mike, coming from you, that's a huge compliment. So thank you. I'm flattered. But it is my turn to return the favor, sir.
Okay.
Because we're here to give you your goddamn flowers, to talk about all the cool shit that you've done, and all the cool shit you're about to do as well, which I think is really awesome. So let's go back to something that you mentioned and you touched on already, is that you grew up in the Daly City scene of the Bay Area, which obviously you have, you realize that like not everybody grew up with that. And can you kind of, looking back, what it was so special about that time and literal place of where you grew up, and like how did it shape you?
What was special about it? I guess for people who don't know, like a lot of turntablists came from that era. I mean, this is like, we're talking mid to late 90s, just when other cities had garage bands, like we had DJs, like we had people would have, you know, just get together with their friends and well, we're going to pitch in and buy a bunch of speakers. And then so we can go DJ all the school dances and be the popular kids. So, you know what I mean? So we would, you know, when I was like a freshman in high school, I would see the seniors, they had their jackets with their names on it. I'm like, oh damn, what is this? They're all cool. And I realized, okay, that's a DJ group. Okay, so what does a DJ do? Oh, they play music. Okay, that's not whatever. It actually didn't interest me in the beginning, but when I heard mixes on the radio and it was like, oh, you're blending it so it goes from this song to this song. Ah, I didn't think about that. Okay, cool. Then they're doing that. And then you can take the acapella of one and then put on the instrumental of another. Like, oh shit, that's even crazier to me. You're making a whole new thing out of the things. And then so I'm like, all right, we need turntables. My brother and I bought turntables, and we just started kind of messing with it. And as I kind of got more and more into it, like what interested me more than doing the parties and being in the group with the jackets and everything was scratching. You know, I was like, oh, you can really like play it like an instrument. Like, ooh, you know, that's, to me, that was like the most mind-blowing thing ever, because you can take any song, and this is when every song that came out was pressed on vinyl. You know, you could just go to the store and get it. So you're taking all like just you're very almost frame by frame, but even more, you know, even in between that, because it's analog, you're just creating new things on top of new things, and that's what really that's what got me. And that at that point, I was just like, forget everything else. This is what I'm doing. I was, you know, all my hobbies went away. Everything, dude. I didn't care about school as much. You know, that was it. And I figure like, oh, I'll just do this until I'm in college and I could get a real job, and then 25 years later. But Daly City itself was very, I mean, again, like the DJ culture was like, that was it. That was everything. It was either you're in one of those groups who, I mean, there was like groups that had like 20 people in it, and like 2 guys actually DJ'd and had records, but everyone else was like, oh, I'm just here to carry the speakers and party. So I didn't want to do that, because I wasn't, you know, I didn't care about being popular or have, you know, friends or whatever. I wanted to do that thing. I was like so focused on just improving on that and practicing. But I ended up doing parties and stuff, you know, just because everyone kind of found out that I was a DJ. I didn't tell anybody for a long time. But when they found out, they're like, oh, can you DJ my thing? I'm like, all right, I guess I could, you know, because to me, mixing is not as challenging as like, you know, scratching and juggling and stuff.
Right.
Even though it kind of is, it's its own thing. You know, you have to know what to play. You know, you have to know how to read a crowd and kind of keep a flow going. It's like a marathon racer versus a sprinter, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good analogy, actually.
Yeah, 2 totally different disciplines. You're using the same thing. It looks the same. If I took a picture of you DJing and a picture of you scratching, looks the same, but completely different mindset. Yeah, but and I love doing that too. You know, like that being asked to do parties made me interested in doing parties. Like, oh, I could do this more. This is kind of fun. And so, yeah. And the cool thing was, you know, in Daly City, there were so many different groups and people doing it. The competition was so high that
steel sharpens steel.
Exactly. It kind of forced you to just constantly be as good as you can be and focused. And yeah, it got bitter and whatever. Like people, they have stupid beefs of like, oh man, we used to DJ that school. Now they got the contract or whatever. It's like, I don't care, guys. I'm not. Are we really fighting over DJing high school dances? You know. who cares?
It's important to note as well, like present company included, obviously, but all the different people that came from the Bay Area from that scene specifically, like some early standouts, of course, Mixmaster Mike, and then DJ Qbert, collectively Invisible Scratch Pickles. And you came up with a crew because you came up with Swift Rock, right? And I used to work with I don't know if you know Gelson, Angelo.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I used to work with Angelo at Zynga.
Oh, he worked at Zynga?
Yeah.
Did you know Robbie Abaya?
Not offhand, no.
Okay. Dude, Angelo is like my best friend's cousin. So we're family, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Small world. Yeah. That's DJ S.T.A.C.K's cousin.
Small Bay Area.
I grew up, so it was like me, Manny, DJ S.T.A.C.K, and Brian Swift Rock, rest in peace. And that was our crew. That was our crew. We all went to different high schools. But we were like the scratch guys in each of our high schools. So we just kind of, started hanging out and made a crew, and then went out and started battling. That was the other thing why I was more interested in scratching and turntablism is because I feel like there was just it could just take me further, not in like financially or whatever, but like further in distance, right. The gigs were out, I didn't want to just play in the Bay Area for the rest of your life. Because it's like, I don't know. There's people that do, that's totally fine. I had zero interest in that. So, being able to like compete on a national level. And then when Swift Rock won the world championship, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is our dream. We're living it. Let's go.
Mom, get the camera. Yeah.
Yeah. Mom, you don't understand. And
it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, what were some of the DJs and turntablists that really blew you away with their skill and artistry? I mean, either back then or now. Like, who are the people that like really stand out to you?
Mixmaster Mike has always been kind of that guy.
That tweak scratch always gets me every single time.
The tweak scratch. I mean, just the way and it's not just like what he's doing; it's like how he's doing it, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people sort of miss about the craft, and especially with DJing, because it's so easy to be like, oh, okay, I can do the tweak scratch too, and then you do it and it's like, okay, but like, why does your sound all phony and his is like amazing? It's because his heart is in it. You know what I mean? Like, you watch him scratch, he's it's another thing.
Fully committed.
Yeah, fully committed. It's like he's channeling something else. It's not here. He's not aware of you. You're just there. He's doing his thing. And you can always, I think it's because I've just studied the craft so long that you can just kind of tell when someone is just kind of doing it because I know this technique is a good one, and right. I'll probably get more points for this, battling wise. But it's like, man, there's only certain, it's hard to describe what it is. Like, it's something that I strive for in my own way. I'm not trying to like do everything like him, but like,
right.
It's I guess it starts with just the commitment, but there's something about it that's just, I don't know.
It's unapologetically him. I mean, yeah. You could apply that to other instruments as well. I mean, like with Dave Grohl, when you hear Dave Grohl play drums, you can tell it's Dave Grohl. When you hear Flea, oh my God, when you hear Flea play the bass, like even when he's playing along Alanis Morissette on You Ought to Know, like you can tell if you isolate the track of the bass, you can tell that it's Flea.
Nile Rodgers, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Something about it. Him, obviously. Shadow. He's another one that's just like, okay, all right, guys, just save some for the rest of us, man. Like, dude, you know what I mean?
Can I have some crumbs, please?
Yeah. God damn. You already made introducing. Just stop. Like, dude.
You didn't need to go and make nobody speak. That's just a victory lap. Come on.
Like, now you're just rubbing it in. Because
on every stupid car commercial ever exists.
Yeah. Every movie that just needs,
right.
and it does you hear that song, it's like, I know what that is, but like, God damn it, it's working.
It's so good. To go back and set some context. I didn't set the context about Mixmaster Mike. So Mixmaster Mike, originally part of the Invisible Scratch Pickles, and then he went on to become famously the DJ for the Beastie Boys. Just for the audience that's not up on their hip hop history,
right?
Because not everybody's into it, but
sure.
I think it's super important.
It's good context, and that him doing that was even more fuel for like the rest of us to be like, we could make, he's one of us. Not realizing he's not one of us. He's so far above. Like that's you can't say that.
He's a David Bowie of DJs now.
Yeah,
he's transcended and he's now an alien. Yeah,
100%, 100%.
Well, I mean, you kind of already touched on this about, always wanting to put your spin on it and kind of striving for making things your own. So from my perspective, what's very unique about your performances is that not only do you scratch the record, you're scratching the video as well, which I think is what really sets you apart, has always set you apart for a long time. Initially, thanks to the DVJ, correct? And then later, Serato. You were able to do live shows where you literally scratched the AV at the same time, such as the O phase from Office Space. And this is where you got me. This is where you got me at Pop Scene. Like, this is when I verbally said out loud, okay, I like this fucking guy, is when you did the Peanuts song and you went into Danny Elfman's Breakfast Machine for Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You had me dead to rights at that point. I was like, all right, I got to find out who this guy is. But after all these years, with your solo act and with being the DJ with Pharcyde and Beyond Money, what are some of the most rewarding aspects about performing live for you beyond just parties? Like when you actually do your actual live shows, like what makes you excited to be there?
What you mean? What makes me excited before, or what makes me excited about a show that like just happened?
All the above.
Okay, so like what gets me excited before is the just that, like, it's like a roller, like before you're gonna ride a roller coaster, it's like, this could be fucking terrible, but you know what I mean? And I get really nervous before a show, because like you just don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Like I'll show, so the when you're talking about records, like you're talking about a very, like a tiny diamond tip that's where the music's coming from.
Right.
That's insane to me. If you really think about it, and you're playing like a festival, like what are you doing? What are you doing? Here, I'll show here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see, but this is a cartridge, and the needle's here. So this tiny little needle is reading the grooves. Now you can't even see it here. That's what the show is riding on. So already, what the hell? You know what I mean? That's what I used to think about. But after years and years of, kind of realizing, okay, it's going to be okay from the technical standpoint. I kind of know, like, I can troubleshoot, something's going on or whatever. There's feedback and all that stuff. But, then you got the audience who, I don't know, where did they just come from, home, or are they drunk? Are they high? What's going on? Like, you just kind of got to read the crowd, you know what I mean? Because their mood is not my mood. My mood's totally different. That's exciting. Like that 20 minutes before is like, oof, all right, how's this going to go? And then you hear what's going on right before, like with the opener or whatever. Then it's like, oh, okay, so that's the vibe. They're reacting to this. Okay, well then I should probably move this. And I'm on my computer, like moving giant chunks of my set over, like, okay, I'm gonna start with this instead, and then go into this, and then maybe I'll hit him with this. Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. You know, just sort of mixing and matching, and it's like a big puzzle. And then you go out and you present yourself, and then 20 minutes in, I'm feeling like at that point, I'm usually like, I mean, I've had terrible shows before where I was just kind of booked in the wrong place,
Sure.
you know? But 90% of the time, 10 minutes in, I'm like, all right, I know what's going on. I've made the adjustments. I kind of, you know, you start with there was a documentary, I think it's called The Comedian, with Jerry Seinfeld was in it.
Oh, yeah.
So it was when he had retired, and then it was like his first show coming back. And then I think like Chris Rock was asking him, like, how do you think it went? And then he goes, well, I made the mistake of opening with a new bit. Should never open with a new bit. And he, because you want to settle, that's your settle in time. You know what I mean? You don't want to like open up with something that you're not even sure is going to work. Open up with the banger, with the for sure one. And then you can then you're comfortable, and then you can do whatever you want. So I've kind of like held on to that, you know, so I have like these several different intros where I know it's going to work. I know it's going to do this certain thing. And so like, you know, I can decide once I kind of gauge how good or how warm or hot the crowd is to that. Like, okay, I get it here, you know.
Is there any specific one that seems like it's almost bulletproof most of the time as far as like your intros?
Yeah, I have a few that's just, I could do it in a hip hop show, old school hip hop show, a festival, an electronic stage or whatever, or even like a rock show, like 100% would work. Yeah.
Which specific one?
Oh, I do this thing with the like, I'm not going to tell you that.
Help me out.
So I do this thing with it's a pretty basic juggle, you know. Basic by basic I mean, you know, it's not like, man, I don't have my head down. And I think it works because it's something that like I'm not it doesn't require like every freaking limb, and you know what I mean? There's some things that, especially when I used to battle, that was like, you had to have those things. You had to have those sets that were, okay, man, he's really working. Damn. Okay. There's no, just head down, whatever. But this is one that I'm just, it's flowing through me just like that. Like, it's not Mixmaster Mike level, but it's like, that's the closest I'm getting. I do this juggle with Robot Rock by Daft Punk.
Oh,
and it's just
yes.
like, because it has that universal, you know, it's not, it doesn't get you ready for like a dance show, which already sort of, I kind of have to work against sometimes, because you see a DJ, it's like, okay, we're going to party now. We're just going to, you know, we're just going to dance.
You're going to turn your back to the DJ and not actually pay attention to what he's doing.
Exactly.
Your show demands attention. It demands the full attention of the audience at all times, practically.
Yeah. And that's also, that's a challenge for me, because I have to earn that with people. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just get on the mic and go, all right, everybody, here I am. I know you want to dance, but like, you got to look up here for, like, that's the worst. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. You don't want to have to explain yourself. People are out, you know, the person before you's playing crazy shit. And so it's the perfect palate cleanser, it gets you going, but it's not like the chewing gum tracks. You know, there's some tracks that's just right. Okay, this is what it's going to do. Okay, it's going to change. And it changed. Okay, cool. We can have a conversation now, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, bah, bah, somebody's like, bah, 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 you know, like there's so much to work with as a turntable, just so many sounds, and it's just like that. It just flows. And then I got this cool visual. So it's like a visual where it's like the Reservoir Dogs and it's me, and then it goes, you know, there's all these like different things going on. And it kind of like, I just pack a lot of visuals into that section, because it becomes like a almost like a little, like a prelude to the next hour. You know what I mean? So that's my that's been my go-to. I mean, I've had others that work pretty well, but that one seems to be bulletproof, as you say.
That's a good one. That and the Immigrant Song, especially now that you mix in Thor Ragnarok to it as well, just like an added cherry on top. I think it's great.
Yeah, that one I like to play later. That's my like I do that one like in the back half at some point. Something about it. It's just like because it has the cool like Jack Black's like, oh, what are you guys, you know, the School of Rock part, and it gives me like it's a cool little break. Like, okay, cool, let this go, and then you know, then I go
come from the land of the ice. Yes, it's so good.
A lot of it's for me too. Like robot rock for me is like it gets me going. So that's, you know, that's important too. I got to be into it too. And then the Immigrant Song one, that one gets me going in the later section to kind of bring me back up. So it's like, okay, cool. Now, and then it has the ending in my set is it just echoes. I don't ever mix anything out of it. I just let it echo out, and from there I can do whatever. I can change it. I can, you know, go any different direction, which it's like choose your own adventure.
Get the broadsword. Cool. Since we're talking about live shows, I want to touch on a footnote again and talk about audiences as well, especially. So years ago, the Blue Man Group cold called you to come with them on the road. And it wasn't in Vegas, it was just on the road with them. But obviously, they command a very much more random audience. So being the fact that you've toured with the Pharcyde before, how would you compare the audience that comes to the Blue Man Group versus that comes to the Pharcyde shows?
Oh, there's not much overlap.
A lot of stuffy old white people.
Not a whole lot of overlap. But yeah, the Blue Man Group tour was, I mean, obviously life-altering, and one of the best things that's fell into my lap. Like you said, it was only because I had put videos of myself on YouTube when in the early days of YouTube, because, you know, I didn't want to have to like send out like DVDs. Because when I was doing the visuals, it was really hard to explain what was going on, and it's like you kind of just have to watch it. But it's like, where can I watch it? Like, oh, there's this website called YouTube. You have to download Flash, and then you can watch whatever you want. And then that was the way I got, that was like my EPK, you know what I mean? So this was, 2000, must have been 2006, very early, you know, and I had just toured with Del the Funky Homosapien. Like that was the tour right before Blue Man. So yeah, it was completely different. I mean, both changed my life. But you know, it was, like I said, not much overlap in terms of the audience.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I think if you did it in Vegas, I'd be even more curious, because that has to be like a really hard gig of like, because one of my friends is a lady, she's a Lady Gaga impersonator, and she works at the Tropicana.
Oh, wow.
And she's married to an Elvis impersonator, which is doubly funny.
What?
I'm going to try to interview her, but she's super busy. But the crowds that she deals with is definitely like the purple hair crowd for sure.
Yeah. So. Yeah. The funny thing is we did every city in America that except for Vegas, Chicago, New York, Boston, because they already had residencies there, you know, which makes sense. You don't want to cannibalize the audience, but it would have been interesting to do a couple, you know, because Vegas is just, I mean, you know, it's Vegas.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, it opened me up to, sections of the country that I would never have visited, you know, had it not been for that. Why are you laughing?
Welcome to Delaware. Hi, I'm in Delaware.
I didn't know there's multiple cities called Duluth.
Duluth, Michigan, Duluth, Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
Well, it's
all the
just like-
names to double up on, why?
It's just like Union City and Newark. There's a Union City, New Jersey, and a Newark, New Jersey, and a Union City and a Newark in California as well.
Yeah, but see, those names sound cool. Newark. It's new and an arc. Newark. What's Duluth?
True. It could
What
be
is
worse. You could be Paris, Texas.
But that sounds cool too. Hollywood, Florida.
Do you know what my favorite ones are? Some of my favorite is all on like the Metro North of upstate New York, of like Cold Springs and Ossining, Poughkeepsie, Schenectady. Like I love that stuff. Those are some of my favorite.
Like that becomes part of your personality. Like even more so than any other city that you could live in.
Hello from Schenectady. You're on with Larry King.
You can only have that voice if you live there.
I had 3 cigarettes for breakfast and another 4 for lunch. What can I get you?
But in terms of audience, like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it was a challenge, for sure, because it was like, okay, these people probably don't want to hear, a mostly hip hop set, which I was doing. So I had to sort of, I think a lot of it was, I mean, obviously I prepped, for this arena tour that I was about to go on. But, I changed the visuals. I changed a lot of the music and, to the point where I don't want to just, give them what they want. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. But, in order to kind of bring them into my world, I had to kind of, give out a little, some bait.
Some nuggets, yeah.
Yeah, but these are all songs that I like. None of the stuff that I was doing was like, ugh, why do I have to do this? Oh man,
Hotel California again. Damn.
Yeah. It was all stuff that made sense to the point where a lot of the stuff I kept doing in my set, even after Blue Man Group. It was like, oh, this works. I like it. But the cool thing, here's the interesting thing, is when we do the meet and greets, a lot of those people just kind of assumed that that's what DJs did.
Oh, wow.
They were like, oh, if I knew that DJs were mixing videos and stuff, I would have checked it out a long time ago. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you're in for a surprise because it's just me right now.
There you go. You're a prophet of the second coming.
Yeah, but that's the thing is you go to a Blue Man show and you're already kind of open in that way, just creatively. You're going to see something different. So back then, I actually feel like that audience understood what I was doing quicker than the other, most of the audiences. Cause also I only had 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes or something like that.
It's hard to bomb in that short of a time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one way to look at it. But the other shows I would do, I was doing an hour. So I was like, ooh, you know what? This part's going to be just only music, nothing on the screen. Just me, just look at me, doing all that kind of stuff. It's no. Get to the fucking point, man.
Give them what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
Give them the spicy stuff.
Yeah. Off the bat. So it taught me to, just sort of not beat around the bush when you're asking these people to pay attention to you. So, I remember that was one of the big ones. I was like, oh, okay. Cause I had all these parts of my set where I was like, this is my pure turntablism part, No, this is pure turn. I'm still doing pure turntablism, but there's stuff going on the screen that,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. So you kind of touched on this previously, and YouTube is a very important not a footnote of your career. It's a component of your career. I misspoke. And when you're not on the road with the Pharcyde or anybody else, you're periodically posting remixes of movies and songs on YouTube. And way back when you got John Favreau's attention with your Iron Man 2 remix. Does it feel even more surreal to have collaborated with him, knowing that he's, you know, helming the Mandalorian and also having Edgar Wright paid, you know, see your work and then want to collaborate with you?
Yeah, super surreal. Because when I did the Iron Man 2 remix, it was just, you know, something. I was like, cool, maybe I'll get some views off of this or something. And then if you watch the video, like, you know, back then it was like, you do your thing, and then you show up and talk to the audience, like, hey guys, you know, like, what's up? Subscribe,
smash that like, ring that bell.
This is before Smash and before the bell. This is like, you know,
that's how much of an OG YouTuber you are.
Yeah, this is like over 10 years ago. I wore like I went to this was like 2 a.m. I was like, I'm done. This is it. I'm ready to upload this. Now I got to record the vlog at the end. What am I gonna do? So I went to Walmart and at like 2 a.m. and bought an Iron Man mask. I wore that. I was like, this is going to be funny. This will get the subscribers. I didn't know Jon Favreau was going to see it. If I knew, would I be wearing that? No, I'm a grown man. Why should it didn't even fit. It was a kid's mask. So I had to just wear the front. I couldn't even wear the whole helmet. So, so I wore that. And then, yeah. And then he hits me up, and because I mean, you know, you mentioned Jon Favreau, Edgar Wright. Those are the guys who, like, they get what's going on in terms of, you know, like, just making stuff and that was a time when, you know, I was also getting a lot of copyright strikes on my YouTube channel. So I was like, this might end before anyone sees it. They might just get taken down by Marvel or whatever. But he went the opposite direction. He said, hey, let's make a commercial out of this. I'm like, hell yeah. So yeah.
Too awesome. And another, I mean, talk about collaborating with another amazing group that's has an amazing Vegas show and is super animated. You directed the Devastating Stereo video with Jabbawockeez. And I guess from a director's standpoint, what's it like to direct a group of people that is so incredibly animated and so much fun to film? Like, what was that experience like for you?
It was, I was getting a free show every day, constantly. I mean, it's just like they know what they're doing. So it's just a matter of like, okay, we just got to capture this. Where can we go? All right, we're going to a store. There was one of their friends owned a store, so we went there. You know, just it was a show. It was a show. It was so low stress. It was because everything they did was like amazing. It was like, okay, keep going, guys. God, like, just roll the cameras.
More backflips. I mean, it was, more
backflips. You know, yeah, there was more. It was more than that, but generally, like, dude, it was one of those things where it was just like, everybody do your thing. Everybody, the bangers came on, looked amazing. Just do your thing. No notes. Just, you know what I mean? What do you say? We had their whole stage that with the fog rolling in and like the lights, and they did their entire routine to it, and it's like, all right, cool.
So this is a spicy question to ask you in 2022.
Okay.
Because it's definitely a hot button topic.
Oh boy.
But last year you made some NFTs.
Yeah.
But for a very important cause, you're donating the proceeds to Asian American and Pacific Islander anti-hate organizations.
Yes.
And beyond the causes, what inspired you to create those pieces?
I mean, it was the cause. By the way, none of them sold. So
bunch of haters.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm Asian. That's it. I mean, even if I wasn't, I would still be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
But obviously it's something that's very close to me and my family and my friends, and that, I mean, because my parents are the same age as the people who generally get attacked. So for the first time in my, I mean, I'm always concerned about my parents, you know,
right.
my parents, but it's just, it was, I mean, I can't even say was, because it still is. It still is one of these things that in you know, I'm like, wow, my parents can't even go to Chinatown in the same way. Like I mean, they can go, but it's not the same, you know. And if you go to San Francisco Chinatown, it's tiny.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, to think that there is anything going on, it just breaks my heart. And because there's so many, it's like a, for context for people who haven't been there, it's like being in a mall. Like if somebody said, "Oh, people are getting attacked at the Borders at the mall," you would know exactly where that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you grew up there, and if you ate there, and if you know, your grandparents grew up there, so it's one of these. It's just senseless. It's just completely senseless, and you know where it comes from. You know what I mean? And not that it wasn't around before, but it's definitely magnified now. And yeah, so I've want to do something about it. I'm actually in the middle of. I just finished shooting a short film, and I'm in the editing process right now, where it's sort of inspired by a lot of this stuff. Inspired sounds like a stupid way to say it, because it's not. I'm inspired by my community getting attacked. I'm not at all.
You're frustrated and you want to answer. You want to fight back with art.
It's motivated by a lot of that, and fortunately, my parents have been okay. But we've had conversations about it. My mom went to the, all the marches and stuff like that. And I'm really proud of her. I'm like, wow. Mom. She was like, yeah, this is important. And it breaks my heart, because these, attacking older people is, these people should be enjoying their retirement and enjoying, their chill life as elders, instead of looking over their shoulders and having their friend, who knows? It's, honestly, I have a hard time just finding the words to, put it all together. It's just, yeah, man, and when it first started happening, or when it first started to show up in the news, I was like, wow, this is kind of a good thing that we're all, stuck at home. Yeah. Because if this was like on a regular day in Chinatown pre-pandemic, like that place is packed.
Yeah.
It's like a New York street. But
yeah, some of the attacks you mentioned San Francisco Chinatown. Oakland has its own Chinatown as well. Mm-hmm. And Oakland, seeing people get attacked in Oakland Chinatown it made my blood boil. Like, at a basic humanity level, regardless of race, but not ignoring race, of course, because that's very much a part of this conversation, is that understanding that somebody's attacking somebody's grandmother or grandparents at all, period, because they're an easy victim, and of them taking it out on them because of the race, is just like, it makes your blood boil. If you humanize it at a bare humanity level of somebody attacked my grandmother or somebody that's part of my family, if you're not pissed off, you're not paying attention, or you're a piece of shit. Full stop. Like, it doesn't matter if you're Asian or not. Like, you should be fucking mad. It's the same thing with Black Lives Matter. Like, you should be fucking mad. You should be standing with this community, because if you're not speaking up and standing with them, then you're going to be the next target and victim.
100%. 100%.
Is that short film something you want to talk about right now, or is that something you want to hold close to the vest until you're ready to share it?
I could tell you off camera, but like, yeah.
Okay.
It won't. So this is coming out in March. It won't be out by then. So
okay. It won't.
I would love to tell you about it, though.
By the way, this is our to add some lightness and levity. This is our St. Patrick's Day episode, which I have nothing to add about. I'm sorry. I don't have a green beer. But I guess, Mike, thank you for sharing. I didn't mean to like bring the room down, but I think it's important to talk about that stuff.
At this point, it would be weird if we didn't talk about it, because a lot of people aren't. And there's, I mean, you would think that it would be front page news. I mean, no one reads newspaper, but it would be front whatever trending news.
Trending
It's
on
just
Twitter.
somehow it seems like it's over. I don't know. I mean, I know some Asian people who are like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, dude, you're how dare you? But dude, no, it's a very consuming thing that it's just I don't know the answer. Like, what's the answer? This is decades and decades of dehumanization to an entire section of people.
Yep.
And
Chinese Exclusion Act. Like there's so many things of just, systemic white supremacy of that. It's been, against Asian people in general. Yeah, the Chinese Exclusion Act is like, if that's a Google that's important for anybody who hasn't looked that up before, in terms of just like the systemic racism that has existed in every part of the state, and including California as well,
Yeah.
obviously, especially in
Big
California. Time. Yeah.
It's
No
concerted effort. Like if you, it's just insane to me how it's been a stew that's been cooking, and it just we all know what happened in what rhetoric was coming from the top, and as soon as that started happening, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be bad. I didn't know it was going to be like this, but you knew. I thought, okay, here we're in for another 15, 20 years of like, whack cinematic character. Like, okay, now it's going to be okay to make fun of Asians again. But no, this is way worse, dude.
Yeah.
This is way worse. I'll take, fucking Breakfast at Tiffany's over this any day.
Oh, fucking Long Dick Dong or whatever the fuck. Yeah. Wasn't there was a whole documentary about that, right? About like people confronting that stereotype, because like there's been that, and there's also been like one about a poo as well.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. I mean, having representation, but having representation be super fucked up. Yeah. And Mickey Rooney, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's awful. Well, regardless, I just want to say thank you for expressing your thoughts and, talking about a sensitive topic. And I'm really excited to see what amazing work that you create from it with your short film.
Well, thanks for having this topic on your show. That's like I said, not a lot of conversation happening outside of the Asian American community.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's not to check boxes, but it's important for me to try to go out of my way to book guests from a variety of backgrounds. And obviously we're talking about fun stuff like your DJ work and film and stuff like that. But, you can't separate who you are from your work. Like, it's a fabric of who you are as a person, like your race and your history, your family, it's all brought to the front and center of your work. Like, it's a part of you and who you are, and you should be liberated to express yourself and, make yourself seen as somebody that makes up the beautiful fabric of a community. So.
Oh, thank you.
Try not to get choked up.
Oh, here we go.
No, but I mean it. I mean, like you're awesome, and I was really stoked to see that you were. I mean, even though NFTs is a super spicy topic.
Yeah, that's extra spicy,
especially in 2022.
Yeah.
The cause I think is great, and regardless if nobody's bought anything yet, I still think it's fantastic. So
yeah. I think it's because I think it's because I attached it to a spicy topic. I don't know. What's your take on it? I'm curious. On NFTs in general.
All right. So I have to have some off-air conversations with you as well, unfortunately.
Yes, would love to.
But I will say this. I will say that NFTs is a good start of making cryptocurrency viable as part of your habits or functions in a society. I don't think it's the final version of what cryptocurrency and blockchain can be. I think it's a start of how they're trying to justify getting a bunch of cryptocurrency to change hands, basically. Having a bunch of JPEG monkeys on Twitter is dumb. I think artists getting their bag and getting their bag continuously for the rest of their life, I think is fantastic. I think from an artist standpoint, NFTs make a lot of sense from like clout chasers and people that are just trying to hodl and like, you know, chase after the next Ponzi scheme gold rush. I don't think NFTs are it, but I still believe in cryptocurrency, and like blockchain is like not really going away. The environmental impacts bother me, and I think that's something that needs to get solved for. But I think there's other ways that blockchain and cryptocurrency can be used in society that will provide value. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's similar to cell phones, like specifically games on cell phones. For the longest time, like I would see ads in like Game Informer of like, play the new Assassin's Creed on the phone. Like, this looks like trash. This looks worse than a Game Boy. Like, why the F would I ever want to play this? Like, this makes no sense. And then the app, and then the iPhone comes out. You're like, oh, no, I want to play Cut the Rope. I want to play. I want to play Angry Birds. I want to play all these other games that are only on the phone, and they're super fun. There needs to be a watershed moment of, I understand what this is worth to me now and why I want it. That hasn't happened yet. In the same way that Mark Zuckerberg is continuing to try to make Meta a thing, of making VR a thing. God. Like, PlayStation Home already existed. Like, being in a virtual world with a virtual trophy room and talking to people has already existed. Like, my God, sir, you
for a long time.
Yeah. Sir, you did the 2019 Fortnite World Cup, and I think Fortnite is more of what Meta is and should be than
100%
than what Mark Zuckerberg wants it to be. Like, everybody's kids, like previously it was Minecraft, and now it's Fortnite, or a mix of both, depending on the age. But so many people's kids are spending hours and hours of their day in Roblox, in Fortnite, and in Minecraft. Like, that is the meta. Like, Mark Zuckerberg's like trying to make Fetch a thing. Fetch is not happening. Like,
that's all I think about. Every time I see Meta, I just think of Mean Girls. Like,
stop trying to make Fetch a thing.
Come on, man.
Stop trying to make Meta a thing, Mark.
Yeah. I feel like he's making, I mean, people can clip this out in like 10 years and be like, wow, those guys are really fucking wrong, because like, look at what Meta is now. But as of right now, it looks like he's just sort of making like Zoom calls on steroids. It's just like, oh, you can look here, and then I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people work from home, and you know, they have a nicer setup or whatever. But do you really want like a giant thing on your face for most of the time?
No. And dude, me, I've tried.
Yes,
I've tried it, and for me, it's an awful experience because it's just this all day. Like, no.
Yeah, and it needs that watershed moment. It needs the iPhone moment for it actually to work. But I think, realistically, I would see blockchain or cryptocurrency getting there before VR does. And no shade to VR. I think VR is great if you're into it. Like, Beat Saber is super fun. And I still haven't played the stupid Half-Life Alyx, which I'm super bitter about, because that is functionally Half-Life 3, and I still haven't played it yet. God damn it. Because I don't want to shell out 2,000. All right, I'm getting salty. Anyway. Let's go back to you, because you're getting me off on tangents about myself again. Let's talk about the new shit. Let's talk about the new spicy Mike stuff, which is Stack Machine and Josh Johnson. And starting out, so this one came out of left field because I know Josh Johnson, and I follow Comedy Central. Like, I watch their videos. Josh Johnson is one of my favorite comics that's coming up recently that I think has a fantastic delivery. He's a hilarious guy. And you worked on his concept album Elusive. So can you talk to me about how that project came together?
Yeah, so this came, I mean, he hit me up early, I think it was like in April or May of 2020. And I already knew who he was. You know what I mean? Like, I was already hip to all this shit. And I was like, oh, this guy's, Josh Johnson hit me up. Like, that's interesting. You know, he said, oh yeah, hey, I'm I like your stuff. Would love to collaborate one day. I'm like, you want one day to be now? Because I am not doing anything. I don't know what you're doing. I have no shows. I'm not doing anything. So we got to talking, and he tells me about this concept. It's more, his album is, it's comedy and music, but not in that like funny song kind of way, which, I mean, that's all fine, but I'm glad he didn't want to do that, because I wasn't interested in doing that. He wanted to make like real music, and to the point where I was like, do you want to show up on, should we, have you on the songs and all? He's like, no, I don't want to be on this one. I'm like, cool. So we set out and made, a lot of the stuff is like kind of wavy hip hop. And there's also gospel, and there's also a funk song, and there's also just straight up instrumentals, and it all sort of, yeah, there it is. It was just, he's one of the best collaborators I've ever had the chance to work with, because he knows what he wants, but he's also open. I mean, it's like, he's this is the first time he's worked on music. So it was fun to be like, oh, okay, like, how about this? Like a lot of like, just like, it was an exercise for me in getting my point across, you know what I mean? Without having the shorthand of like, oh yeah, it's how about 4 bars and then whatever, we didn't have that. So it was kind of like, oh, this actually kind of came out better than I thought it would, because I'm not stuck in the, yeah, but like, maybe this wouldn't, I mean, it's hard to describe, but like his sensibilities as an artist, if you think that he's a great comedian, like he's just as good as a music producer, I think. And it's just a matter of him kind of getting comfortable with some of the, some of the lingo. That was pretty much all that was not there, if anything. But he knew what he wanted. You know what I mean? He already knew. He had the whole album mapped out with like examples and like, oh, I like this part of this song, and then here, and then I like this. He had like, he sent me links of like, all these like old 45s that aren't out anymore, or just like just like spirituals that have been like recorded 18 different ways. But he's like, how about we do it this way with beats or whatever? I'm like, oh, that's pretty brilliant. Like, yeah, let's do that. So yeah, that was a nice surprise. Cause yeah, I didn't know that he had any idea who I was before.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that collaboration. I mean, dear God, I was surprised when Donald Glover came up with Childish Gambino. Like, yeah, that blew me away as well. Same thing. I'm just like, wait, this dude is Childish Gambino? This comedian that's hilarious is also Childish Gambino? Like, how do those two things exist? But it seems like I mean, I guess the running joke is that like comedians want to be rock stars and rock stars want to be comedians. Mm-hmm. And never the two shall meet. But I guess apparently Josh and Donald Glover blurring the lines for sure. So
yeah. Josh definitely, he gives, I mean, his next one is good too. Like yeah, Elusive. I'm so proud of Elusive. One, because we made it like during like the pandemic, and it was, that presented its own problems, but also its advantages, because we were able to get people collaborating on stuff who probably, I don't think with everyone's schedule, it might not have worked out the same, in a right. timely manner. But yeah, that seems, now that I'm thinking about all the stuff that, yeah, there's some good stuff on there. I'm really proud of Elusive. Is one of the proudest I am of anything that I've worked on that has been released. Like, it's just one of those like, damn, huh? And I told him when he first came to me to just kind of talk through it and stuff, because I thought he wanted just like a track. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I'll probably make like a little track for him, and then I'll say, cool, collab. But it became, as he was describing, what he wanted to do and the different styles that he wanted to explore with it, and weaving in the comedy in and out of the music, because it's really one of those things where, I mean, it's best when you listen to the whole thing straight through, because it's definitely well thought out from, you know, the comedy, the jokes that come in and out of the music. It flows so well. And when he was describing it, I'm like, this is the kind of project that I would be super pissed and jealous of if I wasn't a part of it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, wow, cool. I'm glad you reached out.
That's awesome. Speaking of the pandemic, a lot of musicians and artists turn to online performances to get their yayas out. You, sir, again, going back to stuff that, like, in terms of like, this guy's got my number. You probably did my favorite pandemic mega mix performance, which is you did a crazy mega mix of Toto's Africa, featuring songs that are all roughly the same tempo and sync up perfectly with Africa. What led you down that crazy path? Because it was a live show and I caught it, and I'm sad it doesn't exist online. I guess probably because of DMCA or whatever. But
100% because DMCA. But
dear God, that was an amazing medley.
Thanks.
But what inspired you to make that?
When was that? That was pretty early.
That was early pandemic, right? That was the dark
Oh, it was April 1st. April 1st. Really?
That's hilarious.
Because when I posted it, I was like, I want people to think that this is a joke. And then when they show up, if they show up, they're going to be like, oh my God, it's been half an hour and it's still just mashups of Toto's Africa. And because also everyone was streaming, everyone started streaming. I mean, because that was the outlet. I think we all realized, okay, shows aren't coming back anytime soon. What are we going to do? And then, so everyone was experimenting with, this was before DJs kind of figured out that like Twitch was kind of the place to be. Right. Everyone was just like setting up their phone and just like live streaming on Instagram. I'm like, okay, cool. Like what's everyone doing? It's kind of like, they're just DJing in the room. We're DJing, doing their sets and playing, and you could feel everyone's frustrated. Everyone's just like, you go from, some of these guys are playing, 5 nights a week, and so to just take that away, it's like, this has been said before many times. We never experienced anything like this. So, seeing everybody kind of doing their thing, it was fun, but to me, I was like, well, what can I do? I don't know. I still have not done a live stream since, because it's just not really what I'm just not interested in doing that yet. I don't know. But so I was like, well, how about I just like I wanted to do something that was, entertaining, I think that song is pretty widely enjoyed. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, especially with the internet bullying Weezer into covering Toto's Africa. And I love that the picture of the single is the tweet that originally bullied them in recording Africa, which is just chef's kiss. And
their version is great. But it's one of those songs that I could listen to it, a ton of times in a row, and I feel like that's one of those songs that like a lot of people can do with. So I was like, okay, well, what if I did that? What if I just, at first I was like, what if I just mixed that and it's just that song, just as a joke, to see how long people would tune in for. Then I was like, you know what, maybe I'll put a little bit of a twist on it because I don't want to be too late. I also, being like, I definitely put more thought into my live show than I probably need to. And that's the same. I was like, well, let me just put a little extra on it. So I mixed in, rap acapellas and stuff. And Africa is about 95 BPMs, I think. And that's what most rap is. So that was easy. Everything just fit right in.
Did you have any favorites that you snuck in as far as like music mashups with Africa? If you can remember. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
The Beastie Boys one worked really well. Like, I think, yeah, Sabotage. Because it's not only the verse that goes, but, you know, you have the chorus, you know, and the Africa chorus has a pretty good amount of space to like throw stuff on. So every song, if you listen to the chorus, I was able to throw in like little like, hey, from the song. So it's like they become they become Toto's hype person through the chorus. It was just fun. After I did like 3, I was like, okay, I can do an hour of this. This would be hilarious.
I was just floored by like how many you snuck in there, and like it was just like it was a battle of attrition at that point, but in a good way of like, all right, what else has he got? And you're like, really?
Yeah.
I can't believe you snuck that in there.
That's so exactly what I wanted that whole stream to be. Just people just being like, what the fuck is this? Because there were people who were like, can you play something else? Like they didn't kind of get what was going on.
So
but if you were on board, it was.
It's either you get the joke or you don't.
Totally. Yeah. Like an hour. I love those like jokes that just last way too long and everyone's just committed. And, you know, I mean, I don't want to be like Tim and Eric about it, but you know.
Sure. You want to be more spaghetti and not like their deep cuts or whatever. But,
yeah. Or what's the
what's his face's character? Dr. Stephen Brule.
Yeah. That one. And then there's the show, I Think You Should Leave. Like that. There's a lot of that.
Yes, that show's fantastic.
Yeah.
Even the pilot is just hilarious. Oh, yeah. The second he was in like that really awkward suit, I'm just like, wow. That's something different. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Really going back.
And I was thinking about another one to do, but I was like, nah, I'm just going to leave it at Africa. Obviously there's so many, you know, hit songs of whatever, but I'm like, no, I'm good.
I got a kick out of it. It was super fun. So these days, I was surprised to see this thing come out of nowhere. You dropped a single last year under the moniker of S.T.A.C. Machine, which features Bootie Brown from the Pharcyde and Del the Funky Homosapien. And for context, for people, again, that are not hip-hop heads, Del is a solo artist, first and foremost, but he's also part of the legendary hip-hop group, the Hieroglyphics. Deltron 3030, which is one of my favorite albums, both albums of all time.
Yep.
With Dan the Automator, which is also important to note, and was famously the rapper on the Gorillaz' Clint Eastwood, which even if you're not a hip-hop head, you absolutely have heard that song. Again, who Dan the Automator is also a part of. And you've toured with Del, as you mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And in a convoluted way, he's partially responsible for you meeting your wife, thanks to the song Every Time that you made. And Del is such a legend and icon. What's it like to collaborate with him? Because I would be so intimidated to just be in the same room with that dude. Yeah,
he's one of those. I mean, like, I've been very fortunate in my life, in my career, to be like, I've been able to be around like people like that. Like it. Yeah, I mean, it's intimidating because it's like, I grew up listening to his music and stuff, but like as soon as you meet him, and this is with everybody, you know, who I knew before I met them. Like as soon as you talk to him for 5 minutes, it's like, oh, okay, cool. That's we're friends now, or we're we're good. So it quickly went from like, holy shit, I'm gonna go on tour with Del, to like, all right, let's do this. Now the work begins. You know what I mean? Now it's like we have a job to do, you know?
Yeah. I guess I would talk to him about video games because I know he's a huge video game nerd. I mean, in his song Wheel of Fortune, I know some Kung Fu, Tiger Style, Crane Style, they get pummeled down, left, right. That shit's fire all day. Like, yeah, yep. Like only a video game nerd would put that in their song.
Exactly. And yeah, so what was the question? What was it like to
what was it just like? I mean, it's one of those things of like, like what is Prince or what is David Bowie like behind closed doors? Like what is Del like to collaborate with as an artist?
Oh, he's a music nerd, and so most of the stuff we talk about is like just like gear and just like, oh, you can do this with this plugin or whatever. Like that's most of what we talk about. And so collaboration it's easy. It's just like, okay, well, it's weird to me. Like most of the collaborations that I've done are just, they're not any, like with Josh or with Del or with Brown it's just like, let's just do it. There's no like, I'll have my manager call your man. No, it's just like, it's like, I got a beat. You want to hear it? Cool. All right. And so with Del, it was like, I had the track and I was like, who'd be really good on this is Del. And so sent it to him, and didn't hear back for a minute. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just not his thing, whatever. And I can't remember how long it was until I was on a completely different tour when he hit me back. He was like, yo, I just listened to this. I'm writing the first verse now. Like, oh, okay, sweet. And then he sent it to me. Just it was done. I was like, holy shit, this is better than I thought it was going to be. But he delivers, man. Like he's just one of those guys that, him. Again, I'm very fortunate with the people that I'm kind of around. They tend to sort of over deliver, I guess, just in general. And I think it's sort of a weird, to us, I don't know how to rap. I don't know how to write, I don't do any of that. So to me, it's just like, it's like magic. Like, where does this come from? But I don't know, to them, that's what they do.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, it's them taking it seriously, and it's seeing the hard work in motion that, it's not them phoning it in. I've definitely, not to talk shit about Snoop Dogg, but there was a period of time where he was phoning some stuff in when he wasn't part of Dre or Pharrell, that he was phoning stuff in. But I think now, especially with Mount Westmore, he's definitely come back and taken stuff way more seriously. But yeah, I don't think I've ever heard Del phone it in before.
No.
And no shade to Snoop Dogg. I still love him. He's a legend.
Sure.
So how did Stack Machine come together? And there's also some backstory of like, there's some names and persona, new art and new nicknames. Like, tell me all about that.
So that started with me and Bootie Brown. So, Brown is, remember the Pharcyde? I was their DJ for a little while. Pretty close to like right before, March of 2020. We were recording, I had a bunch of same as I did with Del. I was like, I have some beats. I would love to just, see what you think. And he was like, oh, this one, that's a good one. So recorded that, and like, okay, who else? And actually Brown was the one who said, how about Del? I'm like, sure. So we got Del on it, and then it was when it came time to, because this is 2020, so we have nothing but time. We're just thinking like, what can we do with this? And Brown goes, I know this really good comic artist, and his name's Sean Crystal. He was the guy that did the, when Marvel did all their hip hop variant covers.
I think so.
He did the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was the Pharcyde, Bizarre Ride to the Pharcyde. So
nice. And you have the art like right behind your head too, right?
Oh yeah, so that's the Stack Machine. This.
Yes.
So this is.
I guess I could be a good host and pull up the artwork. 1 second. Yeah. Keep talking.
Why? It's right there. I'm a good guest. I just show up with it.
All right. Touche, sir. Touche.
So we hit up. I'll explain the art later, but like, we hit up Sean, you know, because he's an amazing artist, and we're like, well, he would be good for this, and so we hit him up, and he's a total hip hop head, so he was like, of course, yeah, let's make a thing. And it wasn't even, we didn't have a name for it yet. We didn't really have. We just kind of knew that we wanted to make like characters, you know, and have it be sort of a project that sort of, you know, other people can hop on, other rappers, other producers, whatever, and just kind of have fun. Because, you know, when you said all rock stars want to be comedians and vice versa, like a lot of hip hop artists want to be comic artists. Like there's a big crossover in that. So we're like, well, why don't we combine comics and hip hop? Not that we're going to make a comic out of it, but, you know, I'm not saying we won't, but
Sure.
that wasn't that. The point was to combine it as just as everything all together kind of thing. So we're like, all right, let's make some characters. And so we kind of sat down with Sean and, you know, just kind of like conceptualized some things. Obviously my character's wearing a suit. And mine was, I think my sort of keywords or whatever were like, you know, Gundam, you know, kind of that mech sort of thing, and I'm wearing a suit, and it's got to have like a I have a portable turntable that I was like, if you want to work this in too, and I kind of showed him how I hold it, kind of like a violin, like so. And so it's like, all right, cool, got it. And so he went off and did his thing, and then Brown's was like kind of a post-apocalyptic, almost like a Mad Max kind of character with like a, you know, like a crazy synth patch machine, and, you know, he had a mask that was like, you know, I don't know what that mask, it's probably like a voice changer or something, I don't know what it does. And then Dell's character is a decapitated cat head who is reincarnated, who was murdered by his abusive owner, and he is reincarnated to take revenge on all those, you know, right those wrongs. And his he has a big, like, you know, a big
hulking mech suit.
Yeah, exactly, as like his like
the Hulkbuster with a cat inside of it, more
exactly.
or less.
So yeah, I don't know if you could see. I actually have I can pull out a poster to show you better.
Sure. Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah. So okay. So that's Brown. He's got sick glasses too, and I love the mask. How it kind of it's hard to point because that's reversed.
Yeah.
But you know, these kind of light up when he talks, and then he's got the synth there.
That's right. Your helmet is like a mashup of like Mega Man and Samus and Gundam all in one.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Well then well then there's Mega Man. Like, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
And of course, like, it's really easy to like get into like Daft Punk territory when you're talking about a helmet, you know.
Oh sure.
DJing. So it's like, okay, you got to show my mouth. This is something to make it like it's a pilot. It's not a robot. You know
right.
what I mean?
Well, it's it's the same thing. Like if you wear a mask and you're not Slipknot, you're ripping off Slipknot or Mushroom Head.
Exactly. Yeah. Same thing. And so, yeah, that's the portable turntable, and I'm scratching, and there's, you know, there's my suit. And here's Dell's character with his.
Oh yeah. Okay. I see the cat now. I didn't realize it was a cat. I just saw mainly the mech suit. So that's interesting.
Right. Well, that's kind of the point, is like, you want to, you know, you kind of get you see the Hulkbuster first.
Yeah. And
you realize, oh, the cat's behind it. It's about the cat. And his name is Meow Boogle. And he has his whole, and the song explains what's going on, but it's hilarious. When he told us what he was going to do, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Because the idea is that these are all people from different, you know, times throughout history. Like, the S.T.A.C machine has always been there, and they're just agents of this organization who are, you know, out to right the wrongs in history. And that was one of the things that, like, that was another, you know, pandemic project that we're just like, this is, you know, it's something that it kind of came from nothing. No one asked for it. We just made it. Like, that's been one of the things that I think a lot, and I talked to a lot of people about this, you know, who like me were just touring nonstop for many years. Like, that's not sustainable when it's like, so it's physically taxing. It takes, you know, to do one show, it takes so much time with the travel and everything. And just like, hey, slow it down. We needed to slow down. I'm not saying we need to slow down for like over 2 years, but
yeah,
I think having just the you know, the first few months rough in terms of like, yeah, what are we going to do? But like at the same time, it's like, hey, I'm waking up in my own bed. This is kind of nice, you know?
Yeah. You're spending time in your own house, spending time with your partner.
Yeah. And getting to work on projects that, dude, if we were trying to do Stack Machine in 2018, like, no way. It would just be like one of those things that's, oh, that would have been cool. Oh, we could have called our friend Sean. Yeah, he would have been amazing. It would have looked incredible. All right. That would have been it. But we had time to focus.
There you go. The universe has a funny way of making lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah. But
yeah, I guess it's taking the time, and, you know, it's difficult to be creative. You're my second musical guest. I interviewed Emily Whitehurst, Agent M from the band Tsunami Bomb. And she said that 2020 was like a complete black hole for her. So being creative in a time of civic unrest and a pandemic and the uncertainty of live performances, like, it's a lot to internalize. And if you're able to be creative, I mean, it's in that time, you can count it as a blessing for sure. And I would say that Welcome to Nowhere, which is the first single off Stack Machine, like, that slaps harder than my stepdad. I don't have a stepdad, but that sucker slaps. And when you released it last year, I was like, oh, okay. All right, Mike.
Thanks.
So, but to that end, I don't want you to, you know, want you to keep the cards close to the vest, as it were, but can we expect more music from the Stack Machine in the near future?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Well, I think you're up there for probably my longest episode, but I have one final question for you that's super important. It's going to tell me a lot about, it's going to tell me a lot about who you are as a person.
All right.
It's very serious. Are you ready?
Very serious. Here we go.
Who is the best Street Fighter character and why?
Oh. What are you doing? You want to talk for another hour?
Please. Let's talk about nerdy video games, Mike. Let's do it.
So, like, for me, I was an E Honda guy because, again, I just love the fact that, like, everyone thinks that they can just beat E Honda no matter, like, dude, no, I could. But as time goes on, like, if I had to pull out a win, probably Ryu. Yeah, I'm just so familiar with his timing, you know, just I mean, that's hard because I guess it depends on what version, but because I feel like,
yeah, that's super important because not every character is the same. Like, Dalsum is pretty good in Super Street Fighter, the new challengers, because he actually can duck under fireballs and he has teleport. Yeah. Whereas in like OG, like 8 characters Street Fighter, he's pretty garbage and gets hit really easily.
Yeah. Way too easily. Like, he gets hit on his attacks, which is his strength. And it's like, dude, what? Yeah.
I mean, but then again, if you see somebody who's really good with Dalsum in that specific iteration of Street Fighter, you're like, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can only get so far with that character in that version.
Right.
Like, to be perfectly honest, I think, like, Who do you think is the strongest in that in the in the eight, the Street Fighter 2 original 8?
The original 8, no bosses.
No bosses.
It's a toss-up between Ryu and Ken. I think if it was Super Street Fighter, the new challengers, I would definitely say Ken is stronger, just because his Dragon Punch, his jab Dragon Punch is an amazing neutral anti-air that doesn't leave you open to punishes very easily. And then like there's also the joke of like the downright fierce Ken, which is like, have you seen that, the flowchart Ken, before?
The flowchart Ken?
Oh, I'm gonna blow your mind. Okay, so there is a meme about Ken, about how most people that don't know actually how to play Street Fighter would just basically do like a flowchart of what Ken does. And so it's like a giant, elaborate, like convoluted flowchart that all goes back to sure you can every single time. I'm gonna bring it up right now.
Flowchart Ken?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up right now. 1 second. This.
Did I hit him? No. Oh my god.
So it starts over here. It starts with fight, and it's like
jumping high kick.
It's like all right, jump backwards. Hadouken. Did I hit him? No. What did he do? He blocked. He jumped. He knocked me down. Sure you can. Just all goes back to it.
That's so hilarious.
But yeah, like that was a joke about well, especially in Street Fighter 4 for sure. But I think it really started with the like I spent so many hours playing Super Street Fighter, the new challengers, because when I worked at Sony, we had an arcade cabinet of that, and that's something. That's how I realized I sucked at Street Fighter, because everybody I worked with, like at least 3 people in our office, like had gone to Evo, and like
jeez,
one of them went against Daigo, one of them went against Justin Wong. Yeah, I was playing against people that, like, I mean, you're talking about, like, we were talking about DJs earlier, about like going against people that like know their shit. Like I was getting my ass kicked. Like if I go to a normal arcade, I'm not talking about like an arcade in San Jose. Shout out to San Jose and San Francisco in terms of like the old arcade culture there. But if I go to like, I don't know, Golfland and like Sunnyvale, actually no, that's a hot spot too.
That's the
let's say Toledo. Let's say I go to Toledo and there's a Street Fighter cabinet. Yeah, or go to Duluth, Michigan. After and try to put a quarter up against somebody, I will probably win. But anybody that's ever been in, like at Evo, like will mop the floor with you.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. That's
just to go against Daigo is like, come on, man. That's.
I would be scared to go. I mean, Justin Wong's on YouTube, and like, well, I've been watching him play, and he's just as scary. I mean, he's especially scary in Marvel vs. Capcom, because like. You know, Justin Wong is famous for Evo moment number 37, I think, when famously Daigo, for, okay, anybody who's listening, we're name dropping Daigo and Justin Wong. There was a famous moment where in Street Fighter Third Strike, Justin Wong was playing Chun-Li and Daigo was playing Ken. Daigo was just about to be dead. He basically had enough health. There's a concept called chip damage, which is if you do like a super or a special, like you can basically kill somebody even if they're blocking, because they're going to take damage on the chip anyway. And so Justin Wong winds up with a super with Chun-Li, which he assumes he's going to get the win from. And then Daigo blocks every single move with a parry and responds back with a winning super that wins the match for him, which is like the most heartbreaking thing in the world. And hilariously, in 2022, 2 different random people have done that to Justin Wong online, which is like the funniest thing in the world. To like watch him have like PTSD of him saying, "Let's go, Justin," and like getting his shit wrecked. Man. But yeah, I highly recommend subscribing to Justin Wong, because he's super entertaining to watch, but it's hilarious to watch him have PTSD of getting wrecked in the same way that Daigo wrecked him. But Justin's a legend, no shade to him.
Oh yeah,
so,
all he's respect. A cool dude too. I met him once at a Comic-Con thing. I was like, damn, man. I think I have a picture with him. Like I was like kind of starstruck. Yeah, I was like, dude, this guy is like, he's a legend. Like I said, like he's dude, you're not beating him no matter what. Like,
Yep.
no matter how good anyone thinks they are, they're just not going to beat him. But that moment was like, I mean, even if you don't understand video games at all, like just the explosion from the audience is like, there's so few moments like that I wasn't even there, but like that I've witnessed, you know, on camera or whatever, that you just hear and it took seconds for it to happen. You know what I mean? Like it didn't take that long, but you can hear the audience all of a sudden realize, oh my, holy shit. Like they just realize what's going on. Like,
Yeah. There's a crescendo of Justin Wong winds up with the super of Chun-Li, where you get like that half a frame a second where she's winding up to do her like super kick. Yeah. You hear from the background, let's go, Justin. And then you hear the of Ken blocking every single move, including a jumping block. And then the entire crowd, as soon as the jumping block happens, you're like, oh my God. And then Daigo answers back with his own super, and everybody's like, and Justin misses the parry, and it's all over, and the entire crowd is on their feet exploding. And it's so legendary.
Because how could you parry after that? There's just no, I mean, because here's the other thing, like the environment, for one, like I don't know how anyone plays at their best with people yelling. Like, just like the environment is ridiculous. There's so many things going on. The sights and sounds and smells. Like,
it's the World Series of fighting games, and the entire crowd is like, you know, on their feet and cheering you on or booing you or just like hyping you up or something. It's hard to focus in that environment.
Yeah, and that you have the entire room just like just screaming because of something that the other guy did. Like, there's no way you could come back. You can't. You've lost the head game, and now you've lost the real game. Yeah, you just let it just drop, just walk away.
Drop the controller, GG, and go cry in your hotel room in Las Vegas. But to be fair, it was a loser's bracket, so he actually lost. Daigo lost that entire. He didn't actually make it to the final, or he made it to the finals, but he didn't win that one. But
I didn't know it was a loser's bracket.
It was a loser's bracket. They were both in loser's bracket, and Daigo didn't even win the championship that year. But that moment is so iconic because, I mean, that's what makes fighting games great. It's like those surprise comebacks like that. So,
yeah, I mean, not to you brought up Dennis Eckersley in our pre-show chat, but like it's like that when he gave up the home run to Kirk Gibson. It's like that wasn't the World Series winner. That was like game one. Yeah, but it's the moment. And Dennis Eckersley is a Hall of Famer. He's not, you know, it wasn't like he just kind of gave it up. Like,
right.
That was a insane moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's he was a legendary closer for the Oakland A's. In fact, my favorite, so it's my inside joke between my best friend and I. Have you ever seen Mike Birbiglia stand up where he's talking about doing a charity event and Dennis Eckersley's there?
No. What?
So all right. I'm getting into the territory of like just being on a tangent because I think we're officially clocking for being the longest podcast episode, but I'm just going to explain it anyway.
We got to extend the record then because I want this to be untouchable.
Cool. All right. So, in Mike Birbiglia stand-up, which I think is called Telling Stories. I got to remember which one it's called, but his closer for the set is him talking about being at a charity event where it's like a guy speaking, Mike, the comedian, Mike Birbiglia, the comedian, and then a raffle. So between people have to stick around for the raffle because everybody's like invested in the raffle, but they have to basically suffer through a comedian. So the crowd's already against him because they just want him to shut up so they can get to the raffle. Mike, so this is for a charity event. Mike goes off stage and he's uses the bathroom. He misses the entire speech of the guy that was talking before him. And like he comes back and, you know, he's just barely backstage and then he goes on as the other guy's coming off and then like I gotta switch to do this. Hold on.
Okay.
He like tries to go shake his hand and the guy doesn't shake his hand. So then he's like following him to like try and shake his hand, like he's air shaking his hand. So he's like, "Hey, I'm still here." And so he does that, and like he does his set, and then the crowd is like barely laughed at anything he said, and his brothers, well, actually, and then Dennis Eckersley was like there, like backstage, and he was talking to his friend, and he's like, "Can you believe that guy didn't shake my hand?" Whatever, and like Dennis Eckersley was just like, "Ah, fuck him," to Mike Birbiglia, and actually, no, sorry, yeah, it was he said it to Eckersley. And Eckersley was just like, "Ah, fuck him." And then he goes and sees his brother, who's actually in the audience of the crowd. And Mike says the same thing to his brother. He's like, "Hey, can you believe that guy? I can't believe he did that." And he's like, "Mike, that guy was blind." So he had missed the entire thing. He had done an air shake and everything. Here's the kicker, Mike. Eckersley knew he was blind, and he still said, "Fuck him."
What?
So now, anytime me and my best friend are frustrated with each other, we just look at each other and just go, "Oh, fuck him,
Fuck him."
Dennis Eckersley. Yeah, highly recommend that. Yeah, Mike Birbiglia. Just
which one is that?
I think it's called Telling Stories, but if you just type in Google or like YouTube, Mike Birbiglia,
yeah.
Dennis Eckersley, you'll find it. It's fantastic.
He's still okay.
It's so good. All right, Mike. I could talk to you obviously for like another couple hours. This has been so much fun to chat with you, but we must come to a close because even though you are probably officially my longest podcast episode ever, let's plug your stuff. So is there anything that you'd like to plug, sir? Any cool things happen in your life?
Anything happen in my life? Nothing. You know, I tend to not. I tend to wait until something's actually done to like promote it or whatever. So
sure,
I don't have anything currently done right now.
It's still baking. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
and it'll be baking. By the time this comes out, it'll still be baking. So you know.
But you have a website. You have a YouTube.
I do. I have a YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Relm. My website is MikeRelm.com. Instagram's Mike Relm. Twitter's Mike Relm. All that. Yeah, it's all the same.
Cool.
TikTok.
Where the youths are, so they can be mean in the comments towards you.
Yeah. There's oddly a lot of like older creators on TikTok. You notice that?
Yeah, there's a lot of old Vine people that went over to TikTok as well.
Ah, that makes sense.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Apparently the algorithm decided to show me a person that makes videos about like the history of third wave ska. I was like, listen, just because I listened to ska once doesn't mean I want to see nothing but TikToks about ska. Like I've moved past that. Thank you.
Yeah. I can see you doing that though. It's very, I miss listening. It feels like it's just the littlest thing. You can look up a recipe or something and forever now you're making that pasta. 30-second recipes.
Just a TikTok pasta over and over again.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much for your time.
Nick, thank you so much, man.
It's been super fun. Everybody else, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.